Hello everybody, my name is actually Nathan Grunman, and I am the voice behind Nate the Great, and I am the host of Pro Talk Wrestling. And I said that there was going to be a special announcement made going into this show, and the announcement is simply put that I am going to be stepping down as the host of Pro Talk Wrestling, and Pro Talk Wrestling is going to indeed be no more. The reason behind it is because it's something I've been thinking about for weeks and weeks, and it's just time for me to kind of move on, just try to do something different. Am I saying that this is the end for Pro Talk Wrestling? It seems that way for right now. Maybe there's a time I will come back as a host, but for right now, it's just time to end the era of Pro Talk Wrestling. Final show will be March 27th, which will be my 1-year anniversary of doing this. It seemed poetic justice for that. I will have guests appearing on a week-to-week basis. Is going to be some of the best interviews that you're going to have and some of the best moments that you're going to definitely want to tune into, guys. I just want to say thank you for all of those people that supported me and who have tuned in to Pro Talk Wrestling all over this past year. I have had such an eventful year, and I couldn't have done it without you guys. So, without further ado, guys, thank you so much, and enjoy the show. To another edition of Pro Talk Wrestling. I am your here to tell you guys that this is quite an interesting show, to say the least. Going to talk a bit about Monday Night Raw as well as SmackDown. So for those of you that are tuning in and have not seen SmackDown, that is going to be happening tonight, I would definitely probably skip the major part of that because I wouldn't want you guys to be affected by the spoilers. Talk a little bit about TNA, and also going to end today's podcast with a fantasy booking that's going to involve ECW. I'm actually going to do 3 different bookings. One's going to involve ECW, one is going to involve TNA, and the final one is going to involve WWE. The final one will actually be covering the Invasion storyline. I know this is one where a lot of people have booked it on and on. Adam from WhatCulture.com, he booked it. And I think it's only fair that if I'm going out, then I'm going to go out in a big way, and I'm going to focus on the Invasion storyline. So tune in, guys. But as for today, you're going to be focusing on the ECW. So let's go right into it. Monday Night Raw was one of the most emotional Monday Night Raws to date. And just going to go right into it, talking about what happened, and that being that Daniel Bryan announced his retirement. He admitted that he has suffered a lot of concussions, that he has suffered a lot of injuries. It has come back to haunt him, and now it's time for him to focus more on his health, to focus more on him, to focus on his wife Brie, to focus on starting a family. And honestly, it was one of the most heart-wrenching and the most it was one of those moments where I know a lot of people saw it coming, but it's one of those things that, this is a guy who's just poured his heart out and just dedicated his life to wrestling for 15 years. Can you believe that, guys? 15 years. He's gone from working on the independent scene to coming up to Ring of Honor, where he met up with CM Punk, Samoa Joe. I believe he had a few matches with Sami Zayn, Austin Aries. So many different great matches. And then he came up in 2010 when he was a part of NXT. He was one of the favorites to win. He came to be a part of the Nexus, got fired, came back to fight the Nexus, ironically. He would go on to win the United States Championship. He would become Mr. Money in the Bank. He would go on to win the world title, would go on to win tag team titles and having a great comedic and great run with Team Hell No. And he would finally become a 3-time World Heavyweight Champion, WWE Champion, I should say, as well as finishing off his matchup at WrestleMania and winning the Intercontinental Championship, becoming another Grand Slam champion. Now, I know a lot of people look at this and people they've been constantly asking, well, he's done so much for the WWE in professional wrestling. I mean, is he going to go into the WWE Hall of Fame this year? Is he going to go into another year? The interesting part about it is that a lot of people have actually mentioned this, and they've mentioned that, he hasn't been there long enough. He either hasn't, created as much moments as so many other people would like him to. I honestly think that Daniel Bryan is indeed a sure first ballot Hall of Famer. I think that this year would probably be too soon for him, but I do believe that, next year, depending on where they have it, they would have him. I think actually it's in Orlando, Florida, next year. I think that, having him go into the Hall of Fame next year would be the better option. And I think that would just, have him adjust a bit to, doing some things that he loves, some things that he missed out on, some things that he never thought that he would probably love. I mean, so many people, when they, when they're done with wrestling, they think that they're probably not going to have that much to do, or they're going to have not that much to really go off of going into going off into wrestling. They think wrestling's their life. This is all we're meant to do. But so many people have actually branched out from wrestling, and they've done so much more with wrestling. I mean, my God, you look at it. I mean, Edge is a big-time, movie star as well as TV series star. Rock's a multimedia blockbuster guy. Goldberg definitely has had quite a bit of hits, as I think he's done quite a bit of TV shows, whether it involves motorcycles, cars, stuff like that. Stone Cold Steve Austin has done a lot of TV reality series. I saw I think it was the Broken Skull Ranch challenge that he did. I thought that was an amazing show, and that it really does test the body, so definitely check that out. It's just one of those things where I think that Daniel Bryan is going to find something that he's going to love, and I know wrestling is a big part of his life, but I think that whether he's going to be, a trainer, whether he's going to be an on-screen role, whether he's going to just do something completely else, I think that Daniel Bryan's going to find something that he loves just as much as professional wrestling. And I am honestly wishing him and his wife Brie nothing but the best of luck. And honestly, you guys, you have created so much, and I think that, all this emotion is going to definitely come to a head when Brie takes on Charlotte for the Divas Championship at Fastlane. But we're going to get more into Fastlane next week, as well as predictions going into that event. But one major breaking news that actually happened on Monday Night Raw was that Titus O'Neil actually got suspended for some sort of misconduct with Vince McMahon. What basically happened was that while Daniel Bryan was they were doing the whole Daniel Bryan send-off deal after Raw went off the air, Daniel Bryan had left the he left the ramp, the Titantron area, and you notice at the end of that, before they cut to complete blackness, they saw Vince McMahon basically getting kind of tugged a little bit, and then he basically violently turns around and shoves Titus O'Neil. Now, basically, what happened was that apparently Titus O'Neil had, playfully kind of grabbed Vince. Don't really know the full details, and then Vince did not like that, and apparently the night after, when they had SmackDown tapings, Titus O'Neil was informed that he was suspended for what was originally 90 days, but now it's been turned into 60 days. And how Titus O'Neil responded to the suspension was he actually took a quote from the Bible, which was, whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. Honestly, that's the most professional way that you can respond to that. And I think that, that gives me so much more respect for Titus O'Neil as a human being as well as a professional wrestler. But why is he suspended? I mean, so he touched Vince McMahon. So what? Is there like some kind of like no touching Vince policy going on or something like that? I understand Vince McMahon is in his 70s, and that one of the things that is going on with him is that he's losing his vision, he's losing his hearing, he's starting to get to the point where he's not going to be able to, be a part of the company in a fuller point at what he's at right now. But this is one of those things where it's like, really, come on. So you're basically saying that in the past you've had divas, flirt with you, touch you, do all this kind of stuff. They are totally okay doing that. But when Titus O'Neil just does a playful little grab, you decide to suspend him. And how stupid is that? Because here's another issue. You're in a spot where WWE is losing people constantly, whether it's because of contracts, whether it's because of injury, which is a main factor going into this year. They have been losing people left and right, and now you're just going to suspend him instead of fine him for doing something like that? I think he would have known better had you just fined him. That would have been totally fine. At least, then Titus O'Neil could have still been on the road, and people might be saying, like, well, that'd be more of a reward for him than anything. No, it wouldn't have. If you listened to the Dave Bautista Chris Jericho interview, you heard what happened when they did the whole incident with the steel cage match in the world title world title steel cage match. I think it was in Orlando, Florida, when they had the match, and Batista, gave a little bit of blood. And apparently the week after, Vince McMahon was not happy about it, and he passed out major fines. He passed out fines to Batista, to Chris Jericho, to Mike Chioda, to Dean Malenko, who was the coordinator for the matchup, or the kind of producer, I believe it was. And they learned their lesson. And it still didn't, and you could tell from them, they didn't think it was a blessing, they thought it was a punishment. If you would have punished Titus O'Neil the same way, I think he would have gotten the message. And I'm pretty sure a lot of other people would have gotten the message. But no, you decide to suspend him. Why? Because he touched you, and because, it's just ridiculous. It's basically like at the end of a game where, say, like it's an end of a football game, and if a football player decides to go up to a coach and, he pats him on the back saying, like, oh, that was a good game, or something like that, and the coach just says, oh, don't touch me, you're suspended for 3 games, or whatever. That's how stupid it sounds. Like if the coach has said, before, oh, don't touch me during a game or after a game or whatever, that you can understand. But I haven't heard a single policy that said, Vince McMahon does not want anybody to touch him. It's just one of those weird things. I mean, I know that, it could be one of those things where it's like physical harassment or something like that, or they could have some kind of stupid reason behind it. But I just think that this is too extreme, especially now when you need to have familiar faces. You need to have superstars. It's one of those things that it's just really stupid that they did that. That's my rant about the whole Titus O'Neil situation. But a couple other notes that happened during the Monday Night Raw was that the Dudley Boys, finally they're doing something with the Dudley Boys. They turned them heel. Or as some people might say, they turned them for complete babyface because nobody likes the Usos anymore. So therefore, Dudley Boys have attacked the Usos, sent them through 2 tables. They hit like a 3D. They hit a powerbomb through a table because they went through a... Well, first off, they went through like this weird 8-man tables match. It was the Dudley Boys and the Usos against the New Day and Mark Henry, which was, honest to God, the most ridiculous thing